Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of my podcast, Is Breakfast Included? How you guys doing today? Good? Good. Today on the show, I sit down with my good friend, Jude Dyllan Martinez. Now, I met Jude several years ago when he was just a young punk guitar player, and he's a hell of a guitar player. I loved his band back then, but then in the last several years, he's transitioned into more of a songwriter slash producer, and he's worked with some really cool artists. We talked about that. We talked about his early days. We talked about his current band, Vaudeville. And mainly we just kind of shot the shit. It was two old friends getting together, catching up. He said some really nice things about me and I appreciate that, but it was a lot of fun. It was fun getting to, catch up with him after so many years. So I hope you guys dig it. Let's check it out. Well, cool, man. Well, let's get this started. Introduce yourself.
What up? I'm Jude Dyllan Martinez. I am a writer producer from Ennis, Texas. Down 45 from you. Or used to be.
Right on, man. How'd you get started, man?
Man,
in the producing game, you were a guitar player, right? Is that what led you down this path?
Yeah, I played guitar. Actually, for my band, My Motive. You remember it, Tower of Power days. Played guitar in rock groups and did all that stuff, and got in the country world somehow playing guitar, and then started producing all of a sudden, and it was a weird deal. I actually started producing for My Motive back in the day when we were going to record our album. I wanted to be ready before we got to Braxton, Henry, and I was like, just do some demos, and a little 2-track turned into a 4-track, and a 4-track turned into stuff I didn't know how to use, and here I am, man.
Right on. Who were your guys early on? Who got you to start playing guitar?
Man, Skid Row. Like literally Skid Row. I started watching because I grew up. I mean, my uncle. You remember my uncle Johnny Ortiz?
Yeah, Hot Pursuit.
Yeah, dude. He was a singer, and so following them and watching Wanted, all the bands from our local town and stuff that were hitting. When I was a kid, I just looked up to everybody, and I was like, man, I want to do that. And I got into Skid Row early on, and George Lynch, and obviously a Beatles fan, and wanted to learn to do all that because of growing up on it. But the '80s, man.
How old were you
when I started playing guitar?
Yeah, when you started playing.
Man, I started playing drums when I was 5. I'm originally a drummer. And started playing, with older cats when I was probably 10, 11 years old as a drummer. But then also played guitar, and that kind of led to me being a guitar player full time when really I wanted to be a drummer. So still would rather be a drummer.
And your first band?
My first band was what we called Racket.
How old were you?
I was 12, 13 years old. And it was me, Adam Carrillo, obviously. And Eric Zapata, who was a blues kid, and me and Adam were rockers. And
people may know that guy now.
Plays with
Gary Clark Jr.
Clark Jr. Yeah, it was weird because one day we were playing, and we played clubs opening for Adam's dad's Tejano band. And we didn't really and we said there were gigs, but technically we're just doing the sound checks.
Right.
And then when they would take a break, because they would play all night, we would go play during the break, blues, and it was just straight Stevie Ray Vaughan and Stevie Ray Vaughan and more Stevie Ray Vaughan. And Skinner, we would play some of that. And Eric one day was like, man, I'm moving to Austin. Because his parents were split up, and he's like, I think I'm going to start a blues band. I'm like, dude, blues is dead. You're never going to do anything with it. Yeah. And then later on, fast forward a couple of years, he's like, playing with some guy named Gary Clark Jr. I was like, who is that? He goes, blues. And like, dude, that stuff's dead. It's not going anywhere. And me and Adam are doing rock. Come back, and here we are. He's, Gary Clark Jr. is pretty amazing, man. But that was our first band, first real band.
Right on.
Yep.
And then, you and Adam.
Day one,
right? Day one to now.
Our grandparents played in bands together. Our parents are best friends. Our dads and stuff just ran together and did all that. And I got stuck with him, man. So still stuck with him.
Yeah. So fast forward to when you started really playing, taking it serious. You were in a band called
My Motive, Flip 44.
Flip 44, which became My Motive.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time, man, you guys really you were working towards your own sound.
Right. Yeah, we came in about, I guess it was the rap rock days, man, right when that was kind of hitting and also leaving. And it was weird, man, because I remember I met you at the Galaxy Club.
Yeah.
And we dropped, who was it? Me and Adam and Donnie dropped off a cassette tape that we recorded in the garage at my grandma's house. And it was a demo. I was like, dude, we got to record a bunch and let's just go and hand them out in clubs in Deep Ellum and see what happens. And who was it? It was Buffy Jacobs and Kent. Was it Kent?
Yeah.
They were at the bar, and I think you might have been in there because we walked in and just dropped it off, and they looked at it and they're like, a cassette? Most people are dropping off CDs, and they're like, that's all we got. And so they're like, can you play on Sunday? We're like, yep. And they're like, we're only giving you a shot because you're the only people that dropped off a tape. So they booked us for a Sunday, man, and I'll never forget it. There's like 200 something people because obviously our Mexican families, you know, and all of our friends and
they underestimated.
Yeah, dude. And it was like 200 something people. Like, you want to play on Friday? Like, yep. And so we kind of hit hard right off the jump because of our, you know, family and friends and stuff. But luckily it grew. I mean, it picked up pretty quick, you know, for us anyway.
And then after My Motive, you guys are still playing, but you kind of ventured off and started not really producing, mainly like kind of surrounding yourself with songwriters.
I did. So I got called in to come work with Kid Craddock and Josh Medlock. Do you know? I don't know if you know him or not.
Yeah, I do. They
called me in to come do some camp thing they were doing, or to work with some kid. And I was like, who's this kid? And they kept telling me his name. And I was like, man, I'm too rocker for that, dude. I'm rock and roll and whatever. And so I went in anyway and did it just to get, you know, tied to Kid Craddock and stuff and try to be in that mainstream world, and ended up being Justin Bieber. And he was like 13 years old. And I was just like, you know, what are we doing? Let's do this. And I just became friends with him and, you know, his mom and manager and just people like that, and just stayed in contact. And from that point, it was just like, hey, you want to write? Hey, do you want to come do a show? And, you know, just stuff like that. And that's when I was like, I think I need to write and start writing and producing, because early on I got introduced to just kind of from his name attachment to other people that led me to write with bigger writers and start having a name for producing. And I took my first producing gig, didn't even know I was producing, you know?
So was he coming out of that YouTube?
He was. That's when he wasn't even big. It was just literally, he just started blowing up on YouTube and everybody started kind of watching him. And I think it's right when he signed with Usher. Like it was at the very baby stages of it. And I mean, it went from the first day he was in Dallas, there's 5-6 girls out there, to thousands the next time he came back, you know, and it was,
and we all know how that ended up.
Insane, man. But
and who was the first other than him? What did that lead you to? What other writers? What other artists did you?
Man, I worked with Zach Malloy right after that. Derek Taylor. I think I think you introduced me to Derek Taylor.
Yeah.
For mixing and mastering and stuff. And me and Derek became really good friends and really tight. And he's like, hey, I'm friends with Zach Malloy. You know, you should try to write with him in Nashville. So through Derek's recommendation, you know, whatever, I ended up going with his referral and went with Zach, and Zach took me in and we wrote a song, and that again opened doors, and I ended up writing with Zach Malloy a lot. And just being cool and knowing Zach and Zach putting a word in for me, man, just led to more, you know, co-writes, and which led me to working with more unsigned artists, you know, kind of doing the artist development thing. And I worked with the girls, Maddie and Tay, who are actually nominated tonight for Vocal Duo of the Year.
Yeah.
And
well, I remember you introduced you to Maddie Marlowe.
Oh yeah, Maddie Marlowe.
Early on before that. So, when you started working for Zach, were you already a seasoned songwriter, or did he teach you a lot? Yeah. I remember you were really good at writing music and arranging music. The stuff from the My Motive stuff. I remember I just was all the layers you were doing that stuff without without thinking like I got to play this shit live.
I didn't. Yeah, that was definitely not thought about.
What did you learn from Zach?
Man, he just taught me dude, it was weird because I thought I was a good songwriter. And then I went in with Zach, who's an amazing songwriter, and I just got put in my place because he was just so quick. And I'm like throwing lines out and throwing ideas out, and he's like, "Yeah, but that's not cool." Yeah, but then he was straight up, you know, and he just really taught me how to make something not sound bland or not sound generic and make it sound cool. Just how to reword stuff, and if you're gonna say something, how can you say it to make it really pop and make relatable, you know? Yeah. And he kind of made me really add depth to my writing versus just writing a song for the sake of writing songs. Because you hear people say, "Oh, I write country songs," or "I write this kind of song," and you hear it, and it's just like there's nothing relatable, and it just doesn't make sense, or it's just kind of out there. And he just taught me how to dial in what I was doing, and hone my craft a little bit better. So
yeah. Coming from where you come from, I know your past, I know all your bands, I know your style of music that you play, and then you kind of came into your own with a country band.
I did.
Vaudeville.
Yeah.
But what I noticed differently from that is a lot of cats that I know from that time that that they're rock guys just playing country.
Yeah.
They for some reason they can't let go and play for the song.
Right.
They just still play for themselves. How did you get out of that mentality? Because I've heard vaudeville and it sounds like a unit working together for the song.
Man, it was weird. It was one of those things where I was working with this girl and playing with her. Me and Adam and Donnie were, and she was a solo artist. But whenever we went to Nashville, everybody was like, how does she separate from all the other hot blonde girls in Nashville trying to make it and across the world? I'm like, I don't know, and I started writing for her, but everything I was writing sounded like Miranda Lambert and sounded like everything they were saying. So one day we decided, like, why don't we start a band and just see what happens? And so we did some rearranging within the band and got guys in that wanted to be part of something fresh. And everybody's like, "Oh, we're doing the new thing," but it was just one of those things where it was like I was writing country for a long time already in Nashville and knew the formula, because Nashville's a formula. Kind of knew that thing, but I was like, how can I do what I do from the rock world but incorporate it into the country world? Well, I couldn't, because it just didn't. Like you said, it's just like the rock guys try to go into it and still have that thing, but I basically had to look at it as being from straight country perspective, got rid of the Paul Reed Smiths and played tellies and, changed the whole game up as far as what I did personally. But writing, man, it was easy, as far as just taking what I was doing for all these country artists and just applying it to what we did as a unit. Because the biggest thing we got was, you guys are great, y'all sound good, but y'all don't sound like a unit, like you're saying. And it was actually Red 11, that told us that at South by Southwest. They're like, man, we really want to work with y'all, but y'all just got to tighten what you're doing up. And we went to Nashville and we wrote 200 songs in a year, and we're, under all these big writers helping us hone our craft. But figuring it out, dude, took us a long time, because people are like, how long have you been doing it? Like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, until we finally, got into our sound. But it was really taking out trying to be the rock country thing, because that's what we were originally.
And just trying to be a band. Yeah,
and it's like, let's just write what we want to write because that's what we want to do.
Yeah, once you did that, how was it accepted?
It was quick. Yeah. Because we ended up coming up with, a look and a vision, just kind of the image and everything, put it all together. And it was like, if somebody sees what we look like, will it relate to the sound?
Yeah.
And we did, and it worked. And people accepted us because we weren't chasing what was out there, because what I learned in Nashville writing with these big writers is that everything on the radio now is 2 years old.
Yeah.
A year and a half. But, being an artist and all these writers out here chasing the sound, they're writing what's popping right now versus not knowing
what's going to hit in 2 years. Yeah. Yeah.
And so luckily we were ahead of the curve with that, because we were in Nashville so much, doing that. So
are you guys still a band?
We are. Yes and no. It's because we were hitting hard. COVID hit, and we were about to make the move to Nashville and had fix and sign a management deal and do all this stuff. And COVID hit, and it slowed just like everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody, management was like, let's just put this on hold, see what happens for a few months. And we're about to go on tour, like a first official tour, and everything just went to a stop.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I got busy during COVID because Zach Malloy, being one of the main guys, they're all writing. Everybody was like, well, I guess all we could do is write, and do this. So I was doing so many production demos for all these writers that I just got so busy I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think this is where I need to be, just focus on, because I have a little girl. So it allowed me to stay home and worry about me and not babysit, band members and have to go through all that, because there was a lot of that.
Keep working.
Yeah. And so I stayed home, and during COVID, man, when, it was horrible seeing musicians go through what they were going through, but I was so busy, dude. Like it was a blessing that I got so busy, but Zach kept me busy, and just all these other writers in Nashville, because studios weren't working in Nashville because
nobody was working.
They just weren't. But I was like, let's go, but I got busy. And after that, I got in my own, just got comfort zone, man, where I was just like, I'm busy. I'm home every day. I don't have to babysit. I don't have to stress over, we going here, we doing this, we got to book shows and chasing all that. And just made it easier to just, kind of do that. But we do pick up gigs every now and then because we'll get called to do a last minute like festival or something. Yeah. We'll go do it. We'll rehearse one day because we've been doing it for 7-8 years that, hey, here's a set list. Let's just do it and go and do it. And we did that twice already, but we're not actively playing, no.
Are there any bands right now that are impressing you?
New or old?
New.
Man, Morgan Wallen, I would say probably like new bands if you're talking about like country stuff.
Yeah.
Dude's amazing. Him and, I don't know, dude. It's weird because I don't really listen to radio as much as I should.
Yeah.
I used to, but I'm so stuck on like Tears for Fears right now, their new record. You know what I'm saying? Like really, it's hard for me to get into stuff. It's like I listen to everything we used to listen to.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when I was writing a lot and being in Nashville, I had to know who was current, who was hot, who was doing what, because I was writing with these big songwriters that are writing all these hits. So I had to be in the know of what the sound is, how their formula is, and doing all that. But
when you write something, do you have an artist in mind, or do you just have do you write something and say like, oh, this would sound good with this person saying it?
Yeah.
But you don't have any control over that, right? Once you write the song, it's presented by a publisher to everyone.
Yeah.
Like I'll write, shopped around.
Yeah, I'll write songs and I'm like, man, I'll send an email out. Like if I'm writing with Zach or with like Ashley Gorley, who's insane. He's like one of the biggest writers in country music. I'll just send an email out, hey, here's a couple songs, let me know what y'all think, and I think it'd be great for this person. Or if I'm on co-writes with somebody, they automatically know, oh, this would be great for Luke Bryan, or this would be great for whoever, and try to pitch it that way. And
so you don't have that what's the word I'm looking for? You're not too good to say like, oh, this sounds like Luke Bryan, or this sounds like, so you don't care if it's a pop country artist. Dude, or
go get me my money. Absolutely not, man. I love it.
How do you feel about people who say like, oh, that's bro country or that's pop country? In my eyes, there's a whole new crop of bands coming up like Cole Wetzel and that type of thing, where to me it's a rock band, but they're doing country music, kind of. And maybe I'm a little late to the game, but some of that stuff's really cool to me. And then some of it, I think like some of them are trying too hard.
Yeah.
There's some new cats. There's a guy from around here named Cody Jinks that's doing the whole
he's amazing. Yeah.
outlaw thing. And I remember him singing for a band at Club Indigo. And
what?
He was in a band called, oh my God, the name just slips. He was sang for a band called
at Indigo.
Yeah, I can't remember the name. I'll remember it. I'll tell you. Unchecked Aggression.
No, he didn't.
And that was his band.
That was him?
And then several years later, somebody told me about Cody Jinks, and I didn't know who it was. And they're like, yeah, dude, he sang for this band. But yeah, like him, like he's doing it on a level now, and I think he's completely independent.
Yeah, he's a big name now.
But how do you feel about cats like that? Like they're doing their own thing, but they're keeping a little bit of the old school, I guess.
Dude, I was a fan of bro country because I like rap and I like pop music. Like I'm a fan of it, right?
Yeah.
Just as much as I am rock. I liked it from the get-go when Florida Georgia Line was doing it because Chief, I don't know if you remember Chief, he was Nickelback's guy. He was their sound guy and ran a lot of their business. His name's Kevin Zaruk. Anyway, he was running Nickelback, and I met him a long time ago in the Nickelback world. Well, fast forward, he jumped over to the country world in Nashville, and there was this band called Florida Georgia Line, and they were like, hey, you should try to write some songs for him, be good, and just rock, whatever, and just bro country. Well, I liked it, and I got in early on it, and they were really good, and I liked it, and then all of a sudden another band comes out sounding like it, and then it just got flooded with bands that were just watered down doing that, and I'm like, man, it was cool at first, now it's just watered down because everybody was doing it. And then it's weird because like in Texas country, it's like, oh, it's Texas country, anti-Nashville and anti this and that. But I'm like, you guys are still doing the bro country stuff. You're just not rapping, but the music's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. They're like, no, it's not. It's not like that. I'm like, yes, it is. Just listen to it. You're talking about, you know, you want to live in dirt and you want mud. And I'm like, Florida Georgia Line did that like 7 or 8 years ago. Like, here's the song. It's exact. You know, just take out the rapping. But now you got the guys who are like outlaw country, like you said. And, you know, we know those bands. And it's basically 90s rock.
I guess, yeah. And like I said, I was late to the game with Cole Wetzel, but I dig what he's doing.
Yeah. It was weird because again, this was right before COVID. They were looking for a guitar player, and Dre, their drummer, I'd hit him up. I was like, hey, y'all need a guitar player? So he's like, yeah, can you come to audition tomorrow? It was like a Monday morning. This was Sunday, and he goes, you want to audition? Show up to Denton. I think it's Panhandle or something like that. Yeah.
Right there on
if you want to audition, I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm down. Then I started listening to it, and I was like, it's cool, man. I could get with this. And then I started like watching YouTube videos and all this. I was like, man, I don't think this is for me. I'm too old for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, just figured age-wise, and then now I'm looking at them like, dang, they're popping, man. They're doing it big. But, you know, I just feel like it's country stuff, man. But at the same time, they all end up going to Nashville. And
I used to say, and who am I? But I used to say that all the Texas country who were anti-Nashville, all their booking agents had Nashville numbers.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
I guess
what's funny is whenever I first started in Texas country, man, I was working with this artist who was real big, and it was like we were on a tour bus playing big shows, playing huge shows. And then maybe 5-6 months into it, he fired his Nashville management team, fired his Nashville booking agent. And I was just like, oh, God. He goes, dude, we're good. Don't worry. I was like, all right, cool. Well, then we started writing for his new record. And it was just real rootsy and just real scaled back. And I'm like, man, this ain't what I signed up for. Well, we went from doing all that big stuff to playing in front of nobody, dude. Like, there's like 3 people at one bar in Oklahoma we played at. And I'm like, what happened? You know? And he fired everybody. And because
the machine.
Yeah, he fired the machine. But he did that, come to find out, because he didn't want to record a major label, kind of like a debut in Nashville with Nashville guys and producers, because he wanted his brother to produce it and play guitars on it and do all that. And I'm like, man, let's go. What are you doing? Like, but yeah, man, it's weird. Everybody in Texas is anti-Nashville, but once they get the shot at Nashville, they're gone.
Yeah.
There's quite a few of them that I know that are just like, F Nashville and F this. And I'm like, you're retarded. You know, y'all call it selling out. I'm trying to buy into that mug. Let's go. But they do, man. It's all of them. They're in Nashville signing deals. I'll be in Nashville hanging out somewhere, you know, at a writer's round, and all of a sudden these dudes walk in. I'm like, what are y'all doing here, you know? And
oh, yeah, dude. I mean, like you said.
I don't knock them. It's just like, man, just go do it. Everybody's trying to make money, and everybody's trying to get a hit.
Yeah.
Go get a hit. You ain't going to do it in Texas.
No.
I've had like 3 number ones in Texas. You know what I got? Nothing. I've had nothing in Texas. And it's just like, you don't get a good job. Congratulations. It's like, hey, your song's at number 1 today. Great. Do I get a plaque? Do I get mailbox? Nothing, dude.
Is there any artist you'd like to work with? Like if you could pick one artist to say like, yeah, man, that's who I want to work with.
Yeah, dude.
Doesn't have to be country. And it can't be John Lennon, because
that'd be an obvious. Man, I want to work. It's weird. I want to work with Rihanna, and mainly because Nuno did that record with her. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
And ever since then, dude, I'm just like, I need to go. I want to do that, like her or Hardy. You know, just because that's kind of that's the way I write, and that's kind of the way I do that stuff. But really, them two and who else was that I saw? Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
She's amazing, dude. Incredible. Yeah. I saw them at ACL.
Oh, yeah. That was great.
And I was like, oh, my God. Like, it was a beating to sit out there, but it was just amazing when it, you know, just seeing it and just watching her. Because at first, my little girl and, you know, they're just like, I love Billie Eilish. I'm like, what is this? And I didn't get it. I was like, whatever. But then when I sat down and watched her and her brother, and it was incredible, man. So talented. And I'm like, if I could write, it'd be with them.
And young, both of them. Like
both.
They got albums worth of material in them.
In a bedroom. Yeah. Producing it in their bedroom.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be something like that, man. Just to kind of change the, you know, my headspace is so different than what it used to be. Because if it was like, it was rock and that was it, Then it went to where it was country, and that was it. But now it's just.
So now you're just mainly producing, writing, developing. Is there anyone in particular you're working with that you can talk about or that you're excited about?
Man, there's quite a few. There's that young cat, Rob Brooks, which I just showed you some of his stuff a while ago. He's really good, man. He's talented, he just needs direction and guidance. And Adam, it's funny because Adam told me that I'm you for us back in the day.
Me?
Yes, you. And I was like, what do you mean by that? Because me and him were driving over here, and he's like, dude, remember Bernie, how he took us under his wing and helped us and developed and tried to like tell us, kind of guided us? I'm like, yeah. He goes, that's what you're doing with us. And I'm like, no, I'm not. That's not me. But after thinking about it, it is, man. It's just like, I just hate seeing people get screwed over and spend all this money at these studios and all these places and just get robbed. And I'm just like, dude, I could do this. This is. I'll lay it out for you, and let's go. But there's a few artists like Rob that I work with, and there's this other girl named KB that I work with that's really, really good. I'm low key trying to put a team, like a small roster together of artists that I could work with, that I'm working with, writing and producing for, and developing them from the ground up. Even though they've had stuff already out, just starting from scratch and just trying to see if with all the connections and the people that I know now, see if I could do something to help, further their career. Because it's like, I feel like I'm not in that boat and I don't want to be in that boat anymore, but I made enough connections to do that now I'm just like, see if I could help somebody else, that's really talented and has the drive. Because there's a few artists I worked with that were amazing, but lazy. I mean, our band being one of them,
Man, what's the best advice anyone's ever given you? Or the best advice just in general that you could apply to this, or
don't say no and take everything you could take given to you, whether it's big, small, good, bad. There's, and never drink and get trashed. And I actually learned that with you. It's funny, dude, because look, I'll tell everybody this. You were with Mudflap. We were at K. Yeager Coliseum. It was on the Yeager tour.
Yeah.
It was you guys. It was 3 Days Grace and Stained headlined. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, here we go. So everybody was getting hammered and drinking and doing all that stuff, and I wasn't drinking because I was just trying to be, watching and seeing who's doing what. Well, I met Stained security guard that night, right? Hung out with him on the bus while everybody was getting hammered and hanging out and stuff. And from him, I met Aaron Lewis. And then from Aaron Lewis, it was like I kept in contact with them, which they helped my motive a little, our band a little bit. Yeah. And were guiding us and helping us out. Well, fast forward all these years later, Aaron Lewis is in Country World now. And so I still talk to Aaron. And actually, when I saw him in Nashville this last time, I hung out. And that's the connection. It was just like from that one day with you, not drinking, that's what I was getting at, is like, I've made all these connections like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With all these big people. Because every time I get to hang out with people or meet people wherever I'm at, big timers, I never drink. I never party. I don't do none of that because I want to be level headed. Yeah. And if I have a beer in my hand, it's literally probably the same beer from the whole night, because I don't want to be like, oh, he's a cool dude. We got fucked up together.
Yeah. You don't want that to be the relation.
Ever,
That's
dude.
the guy I was throwing up in the
man.
Yeah,
I don't want to be that dude. And even though you could be that guy and be fun, and they're going to look at you as the party guy, or oh, it was a cool hang, whatever. But the biggest thing I took away from is relationship building, man. Relationships,
networking, man.
That's
the most important. I mean, I'm not an artist, but where I've gotten to today is all through networking.
Right.
I tell people I'm not a good tech. I'm a good hang.
Dude, that's so funny, because when I started going to Nashville to do all these co-writes, they would report back to the guy that was helping me get all these co-writes. Like, man, Jude's super cool, great writer, or young writer, but he's super cool to hang out with, super cool to be around. Everybody enjoyed him. Yeah. And then they always told me, it's always about being a great hang and being, a cool dude.
Yeah.
That'll get you invited back more than being an amazing writer, but being a jerk.
Yeah, 90% of this whole industry is your personality and getting along with people.
That's it, man. And that's it. It does. It works. And I was trying to tell Adam and all these other artists, I'm like, hey, when y'all go out, you can have a good time, have a drink, babysit it, but don't, because when we go play shows at venues out of state, Dude, I don't drink. I'll have a Red Bull in my hand and meeting the bar owners or the book guy who booked the show just to try to get in good graces with them to build a relationship so I could hit them up and be like, hey, man, love to come back on our own instead of with Pat Green or, some of these guys. And it's worked, man. And that's how I built all my relationships and built connections. And I have, I could pick up a phone call and make do something. So that's what got me. That's what I tell everybody. I preach that so much, man. It's just relationships and being cool. But I learned that with you a long time ago because literally, that was the first connection I ever had was with Aaron Lewis's security guard and then Aaron Lewis and then that going all the way through the rock world into the country world. Same way with I met Aaron Lewis's security guard who introduced me to the Nickelback guys, which is Chief, the one I was telling you about, who is now in the country world, who is responsible for Florida Georgia Line. Yeah, and Hardy.
I think everyone is in the country world now.
Yeah, and Hardy and them. Yeah. So it's like it all spills over. You know what I'm saying? And it's just from being cool, being a good hang.
Yeah, that's what it's about, man. You keep mentioning Adam. We could do a whole episode on experiences with Adam.
Let's not go there because that's a whole other one. Yeah. I love him though, man. He's like my brother. Man, super sweet dude. Would do anything for you.
He's in my top 5 favorite people. Adam, I would do anything for him. Yeah. Man, with long term, where do you see all this going? Do you want to be an artist? Do you want to be a producer? Do you want to be a writer? All of the above?
I think I'm done with the music thing, trying to be an artist and trying to make it, man. It's great. I think I eventually want to give one more last hurrah and go on the road one more time, but in the pop world or something different that I haven't done in a long time. But it would have to be with something that's already established. But I don't want to do it long term. I just want to go get like a fill-in gig, say I did it and be done, Yeah. But ultimately, man, I just want to be a producer and write and develop. I feel like that's my knack for some reason. I did it. I was there at the beginning stages of like Bieber, and then I was there at the beginning stages of Maddie and Tay, obviously, and help create and develop that, and it turned into what it is. I just feel like that's my thing, man. Just helping people create and do what they need to because I've been there, done that, know what works and what doesn't. But again, it's just the way. It's what's worked for me, and that's why I try to tell everybody. I'm like, man, I don't think this is the only way to do it or the right way, but it works, because I have the old school mentality, the way we came up in Deep Ellum days, hustling, just trying to
flyers, hustling,
bro.
Yeah.
Our band made stickers, like little bitty stickers that said vaudeville on it. And every show we throw them in the stalls, in the urinals.
Yeah.
Anywhere. But yeah, I just want to be writer, producer, man, and just kind of develop talent, and see where that goes.
All right on, man. Well, dude, I've always thought you were a hell of a guitar player. At times, even so good that it was irritating to me. Like that I would tell Adam, like, man, fuck that dude. Don't bring him over here. He's making us all look bad. But as I watched you become, a musician, a young, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, a young, dumb musician, to the way you matured into into songwriter. And now the stuff coming out of your studio, dude, it just sounds amazing. I'm not kissing your ass.
No, I appreciate it.
And you and I are friends outside of this.
Right.
And I've always been honest with you.
Right. Yeah, you have.
When you were fucking up, I'd like, dude, you can't do that. You need to chill the fuck out. Or, because you and Adam, I felt like a brotherhood with you guys, that I could talk to you like that,
Right.
But yeah, I'm super proud of everything you've done,
Thank
man.
You, man. It means a lot.
And I'm, I know that we tried to plan doing this for a while, and I'm glad we're doing it.
Dude, I'm glad. It's an honor to be here.
No, man, it's
seriously,
the pleasure's mine. But you know what question's coming next?
Here we go. It's easy. You should know this one.
If breakfast was included, man, what would you have?
Chorizo and eggs and homemade tortillas.
Oh, right on.
Every weekend at my house, dude, because I'm always gone during the week, and so I don't eat breakfast during the week. But on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, man.
I had that. I went to see my mom today. That's what she made me. I swear to God.
Dude, that's it. Chorizo and eggs and homemade tortillas. It has to be homemade, though.
Yeah, flour.
Has to. I want to feel that little flour on my fingers. If I don't feel that, man, take that back. I'm good.
I know, right?
But yeah, that's it, man.
Well, cool, man. You got anything coming up? You want to push your studio?
Man, yeah. RDR Studios, if y'all looking to get in, do any demos and stuff like that. I'm doing some shows with Zach Malloy and those guys with cover group we're doing, 90s group.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're doing that. Me, Zach Malloy, Todd Pipes from Deep Blue Something, and Vinny Dombrowski from Sponge.
Okay.
We're called Monster Joe, basically playing all their hits and then doing a bunch of
Cover. Yeah, I did something. I worked for, I think the people who put that together also put the thing together with the guy from Better Than Ezra.
Oh, yeah.
The Sugar Ray guy and the Tonic guy. And I got to do a couple of one show with them as a
their drummer for Better Than Ezra was supposed to do our shows with us too, but I guess they had their shows with Tonic that they were doing.
Yeah.
So he wasn't able to come join us on it, but
so they do all their songs and they throw out cover songs. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's cool doing it, just watching these guys, you know, that I grew up with playing their songs and like, okay, playing Breakfast at Tiffany's with the dude that sings it. Let's go. That's awesome.
All right, Jude. Well, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, bro.
I appreciate your time. And do you like this? Do you enjoy it?
I love it, man. It's cool. I listen to it every day. I mean, every time a new episode comes out, I listen.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah,
thanks.
man.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
Right on. Jude Dyllan Martinez. We'll just call him Jude Dyllan. I think that's his professional stage name. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. I hadn't spoken to Jude in quite some time, but it was good to catch up with him. And I'm really excited to see what he has coming up. Check out Rob Brooks, this guy he's producing. That's pretty cool. I hope to get him on the show soon. All right, guys, I am done. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you next week. Happy belated birthday, Nikki.